Can you explain what the National Register of Citizens is, why millions of people in Assam are being excluded from that list?
Well, it's an attempt on the part of the Modi government to identify those they call foreigners. And the process has been sort of riven with confusion, with arbitrariness over the past few years. And, it has involved people being called to police stations to provide documents of their citizenship. The majority of the people who are suffering, almost everybody is Bengali speaking. A majority of them are Muslim. They are almost always from very, very poor, impoverished, often rural, provincial backgrounds. And they don't have the kind of documentation because, in India, many of us don't have that kind of documentation. And it's become this sort of incredible sort of exercise in disenfranchisement. And yes, it follows up on the promise that Modi made, not even during these elections, but the first elections, that, when the BJP comes to power, they will send, quote unquote, those they see as foreigners packing. And it's clearly targeted at Muslims. It's clearly targeted at ratcheting up ethnic tension. It's a clear attempt to deflect from the disasters of the economy or the environment or education, all these questions. And I think the biggest thing to remember is that, there's a tendency to treat Assam as something separate, but it's not. Assam, the 30 days more of lockdown in Kashmir, the demonetization that happened during Modi's previous government, just the cancelling of banknotes, he's kind of instituted a kind of permanent state of emergency, where depending on who you are, and especially if you're a Muslim, everything that you take for granted can be taken away from you, including where you live and where you've lived all your life.
Can you comment on that? I mean, the fact that the register includes some people from the same family and doesn't include others, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, parents, children.
Yes, I mean, it again shows you how incredibly, Kafkaesque and, how terrifying it is in its arbitrariness. Yes, there are members of the same family, some of whom are considered citizens, some of whom are not. And you can see from the video just the kind of people this is targeting, people who actually struggle to make a livelihood. And actually, some of them are Hindus as well. But, people who are struggling to kind of, provide documentation, they are called in, to police stations to provide pieces of paper, people who often are not traditionally literate. And of course, there's a whole intermediary category of lawyers who have actually been exploiting many of these people, promising them that they will actually get them a kind of a positive result from the tribunals. It's this sort of mass-scale sort of exercise in exploitation and disenfranchisement. And it does go back quite a long way. I mean, the BJP has been planning for it for a long time. I will say this. I mean, in the early 90s, when the BJP was not in power in the state and I was reporting in Assam, I remember actually being in a provincial town on the border of Bangladesh and, Assam, and speaking to a BJP legislator and a Congress legislator, and they both talked about, and the BJP politician was very clear that Hindus who come across the border should be given citizenship. And I have to say, all credit to the Congresswoman who was the politician who was arguing with him, and she said it didn't matter what religion because India was a secular republic, and she said actually anybody who comes across the border should be given citizenship, which I thought was a really, really wonderful. But the BJP has been planning for this kind of, for a long time.